He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. Friedrich Nietzsche, beyond good and evil. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a thought that truly shocked you? A sudden, dark impulse, a creative idea so strange you had to push it away, wondering where on earth it came from. Have you ever felt a pull towards something you know is forbidden? A strange fascination with chaos, with the unknown. That feeling, that quiet resonance with the dark. That's what we're diving into tonight. Because what if that abyss Nietzsche warned us about isn't just an empty void? What if, as the great psychologist Carl Jung suggested, the gaze that meets yours from the darkness is not that of a monster, but of a muse. A dark muse, holding the keys to your most profound creativity and your truest self. To understand this dark muse, we first have to understand the landscape it lives in, the abyss of our own psyche. Carl Jung gave this territory a name. He called it the shadow. Now, the moment we hear shadow, we think of evil, of all the worst parts of ourselves. But Jung's idea is far more nuanced and infinitely more interesting. The shadow isn't the monster under your bed. It's the treasure chest you buried in the basement because you were told its contents were worthless or dangerous. It is everything about yourself that you have repressed, denied, or simply refused to look at. Of course, this includes the negative stuff, your latent anger, your jealousy, your secret resentments. But here's the crucial part. It also includes your unlived potential, your hidden artistic talents you dismissed as impractical, the fierce ambition you were taught was unbecoming, the raw, untamed passion that society told you to button up. The shadow is the wild part of you, thrumming with raw life, both terrifying and magnificent. It is the sum of all you could be if you weren't so busy trying to be who you're supposed to be. Think about the most pathologically nice person you know. The one who never gets angry, who agrees with everyone, who bends over backwards to please. On the surface, a model of composure. But have you ever sensed that simmering resentment just beneath? The passive aggression in their helpful comments? That, right there, is the shadow at work. By repressing their own needs and legitimate anger, they haven't destroyed them. They've just pushed them into the dark, where they fester and leak out in toxic sideways ways. And here's where it gets truly dangerous. The real danger of the shadow isn't its existence. It's our good denial of it. When we refuse to look at our own darkness, we don't get rid of it. We project it. We see our own disowned greed in our ambitious colleague. We see our own repressed sensuality in the person who dresses freely, and we judge them for it. We see our own secret rage in the political figures we despise. The world becomes a movie screen for our own inner monster, and we cast everyone else as the villain, never realizing we're the one directing the film. This is the first part of Nietzsche's warning. By refusing to acknowledge the monster within, we ironically give it power over us. We become rigid, judgmental, fragmented. We live a half-life, terrified of the very parts of ourselves that contain the most energy, passion, and potential for growth. We're busy fighting a monster out in the world, not realizing it's just a reflection of a battle we refuse to wage within. But this is where the story changes. This is where Jung's genius truly shines, because the abyss is not a one-way street. The moment you stop running, the moment you dare to turn and face it, the entire dynamic shifts. This is the second half of Nietzsche's prophecy. The abyss also gazes into you. And that gaze is not the vacant stare of oblivion. It's the beginning of a conversation. It's the call to adventure. So how does the abyss gaze back? How does the shadow communicate? It speaks in the language of the unconscious. It speaks through your dreams, especially the ones that disturb or confuse you. That recurring nightmare about being unprepared for an exam. Maybe it's not just about school. Maybe it's your shadow telling you that you feel like a fraud in your waking life, that you've neglected some vital part of your own development. It speaks through Freudian slips, those moments you say something you didn't mean to, revealing a hidden truth. The man who means to say I respect my boss but accidentally says I resent my boss. It speaks through sudden, inexplicable moods that descend on you like a fog, overwhelming you with sadness or rage for no apparent reason. This isn't random noise. This is data. This is your psyche trying to get your attention, flagging an imbalance that needs to be addressed. And most importantly for us tonight, it speaks through creative urges. That strange melody that appears in your head. The character in a story you're writing who suddenly develops a mind of their own and derails your entire plot. That irresistible desire to just pick up a paintbrush and make a mess, to express something chaotic and formless. This is the gaze of the abyss. This is the whisper of the dark muse. The word muse usually conjures up images of beautiful, benevolent goddesses. But the Jungian muse, the one that emerges from the shadow, is often not so pretty. It can be a goblin, a trickster, a wounded child, a raging beast. It brings not comfort, but challenge. It doesn't whisper sweet nothings. It screams uncomfortable truths. It's dark because it carries the very things we've deemed unacceptable, the emotions we've buried, the potentials we've feared to embrace. Let's make this real. Imagine Sarah, a successful corporate lawyer. She's logical, organized, respected. Her life is a fortress of perfect order. But at night, she dreams of being lost in a vast, chaotic, primordial jungle, and she feels an intense, terrifying thrill in these dreams. During the day, she finds herself doodling strange, swirling patterns on her legal pads. She feels a pull to visit art galleries, to read poetry, things she has long dismissed as frivolous. Sarah's conscious mind, her ego, is the lawyer, but her shadow, her dark muse is the jungle. It represents everything she cut out of her life to build that fortress. Chaos, intuition, creativity, wildness. The doodling, the pull towards art, that is the abyss gazing back. It's her psyche telling her, you are more than this. There's a whole ecosystem inside you that you have abandoned, and it is dying for your attention. The fear she feels is real, but so is the thrill. And that thrill is the promise of becoming whole again. But here's the crucial part where most people get stuck. They feel this pull and they pathologize it. They think, something's wrong with me. I should be happy. Why am I having these weird feelings? They might even go to therapy to try and fix the problem, to get rid of the jungle and reinforce the fortress. A truly Jungian approach, however, would be to ask, what does the jungle want? What message is it trying to deliver? This is the shift from fighting the monster to conversing with the muse. This is where the dark muse becomes the ultimate wellspring of creativity. Think about it. Great art, great literature, great music. It rarely comes from a place of pure comfort and light. It comes from the friction between light and shadow. It comes from the courage to explore the jungle. Think of Dostoevsky's novels, writhing with characters tormented by doubt and morality. Think of the raw, painful honesty in Sylvia Plath's poetry, the haunting melodies of Nick Cave. Their work has such power because it does not flinch from the abyss. It allows the abyss to speak way through it. The dark muse provides the raw material. Your conscious mind, your ego, is the craftsman. The muse brings up the gnarled, raw block of wood from the depths, full of knots and strange grain. Your skill as an artist is to take that material and give it form. An artist who only works with smooth, pre-cut lumber can only build predictable things. But an artist who dares to work with the gnarled wood from the shadow can create something unique, powerful, and deeply, authentically human. You have felt this, even if you don't call yourself an artist. Have you ever tried to solve a problem logically, hitting a wall again and again? Then you give up, go for a walk, let your mind wander, and suddenly the solution appears, seemingly from nowhere. And it's often a strange, counterintuitive idea you never would have reached through logic alone. That nowhere is the abyss. That idea is a gift from your dark muse. So, the abyss gazes back. You feel its pull. You hear the whispers. What do you adore? How do you engage with this force without being consumed, without becoming the monster? Jung provided a practical, powerful method for this. He called it active imagination. And it's not just daydreaming. It's a conscious, structured dialogue with the figures of your inner world. It works like this. You take a dream image, a recurring fantasy, or a strong mood, and you bring it into your conscious mind. You give it form. Let's go back to Sarah, the lawyer. She could focus on the image of the jungle. In a quiet, meditative state, she would allow herself to enter that jungle in her mind's eye. And then she would ask questions. Why are you here? What do you want from me? The key is to let the answer emerge without censoring it. A figure might step out from the trees, a wild woman, a lost child, a roaring jaguar. Sarah's job is not to control this figure, but to listen to it, to understand its perspective. She isn't the master here. She's an explorer, a diplomat in a foreign land that is, paradoxically, her own country. This is how you avoid becoming a monster. You don't identify with the shadow figure. You don't say, I am the raging jaguar. You say, there is a raging jaguar within me. Let me understand its rage. What is it protecting? What is it hungry for? By creating this space for dialogue, you can integrate the shadow's energy without being possessed by it. The jaguar's rage might be the righteous anger she needs to set better boundaries at work. Its power might be the courage she needs to finally take that pottery class she's been dreaming of. Other ways to engage the dark muse are more directly creative. Journaling, not just about your day, but stream of consciousness writing where you let anything and everything flow onto the page without judgment. Painting, sculpting, playing an instrument, dancing. Any form of non-verbal expression can be a channel for the shadow to speak. The goal isn't to create a masterpiece. It's to create a connection. And this leads us to the ultimate paradox of this deep work. The more you befriend your own darkness, the more whole. And ironically, the more light you become. Not light as in a perfect saint who never feels anger, but light as in fully illuminated, fully conscious. Wholeness is not the absence of darkness, it's the integration of it. A person who has done their shadow work isn't someone who never gets angry. They're someone whose anger is clean, direct, and purposeful, not a toxic, passive-aggressive ooze. This journey of integrating the shadow and listening to the dark muse is what Jung called individuation. It is the lifelong project of becoming who you truly are. Not a cog in the social machine, not a curated collection of acceptable traits, but a unique and authentic self. It is a path that requires immense courage, the courage to look into the abyss, withstand its gaze, and have a conversation with whatever you find there. The dark muse is not an enemy to be vanquished. It is your alienated power, your disowned creativity, your repressed vitality calling you home. The abyss is not a void to be feared, but a womb of potential, a dark sea of consciousness from which all new life emerges. The gaze that looks back is, in the end, your own. It is the reflection of the whole person you have the potential to become, if only you have the courage to look. So, the real takeaway from Nietzsche's warning isn't just fear, but a map. And Carl Jung provides the compass. The abyss is your own unconscious mind, holding your shadow, all the parts of you, both dark and brilliant, that you've pushed away. When that abyss gazes back, it's not a monster. It's your dark muse, the voice of your own wholeness calling you to engage. And by using tools like active imagination and creativity, you can have a dialogue with this force, integrating its immense energy, not to become a monster, but to become a complete, authentic, and truly individual human being. If this conversation resonated with you, subscribe for more. In our next video, we'll explore another fascinating figure that emerges from the unconscious, the anima and animus, the inner masculine and feminine that secretly shape all of our relationships. But for now, I want to leave you with a question. Think back on your life, your dreams, your strangest creative urges. What has your dark muse tried to tell you? Share your experience in the comments below. Let's talk about it.